Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about Station 5. Now, Station 5 continues to be an important one as far as expression and also taking action. So one of the first things we're going to do today is take a look at how do you realign with taking positive action in your life. What does that look like? Okay, because a lot of times people, as we talked about yesterday, a lot of times people think that they just don't have willpower, when actually what they don't have is they don't feel that they have the right to take the actions they need to take to be able to live the life that they desire or go towards the dreams that they desire. They've been taught that since they were maybe kids from, authority figures of every kind, or, they simply, and so because of that, I should say, they simply end up like self-sabotaging. So what we're going to do today is help you to see how do you create an action plan that allows you to move forward from an internal place so that it starts to make every small decision easier, because it's not the big decision. We always look at these like big goals, big decisions, whatever those might be, whether it's, create a 6-figure business, whether it's lose 20 pounds, whether it's, trust your intuition more, all of those, it's like, how do I get there? What does that mean? Right. And so today we're going to look at how do we break it down into small bites, and then how do we put that emotion and energy behind it so it makes it easy when you're looking at making decisions throughout the day. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. Hello to everybody on live stream as well. I apologize. I'm still getting over this cold. So if I sound a little bit something, and I'm also been cleaning out my office, so it feels a little bit messy back there, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's hop in. Let me share my screen over here. Okay. All right, so we started yesterday. So this is something I call you power, designing an action plan you can stick to. So as we say, what I want you to do is, first off, if you happen to have a piece of paper, that's helpful today. So I'm going to show you how to do this, because for some reason the figures that were supposed to be in the book didn't get into the book. So I'm just going to show you how to do this. This is about really designing this around you individually and figuring out what's going to help you and motivate you and help you realign. Okay. So we're going to look at like the different areas of life where you might have goals, dreams, or desires. Okay. So areas of life, as I say, there might be mental, emotional health. They might be physical health. They might be financial health. Okay. And that's sort of the area of your life. And the goal might be something like write a book or complete my novel or lose 20 pounds or, bring in 6 figures or, you could have a goal of like completing a marathon, right? Or any of that. Okay. So that might be the goal. So what we want to think about is, in an area of your life, where do you want to have a certain goal, right? And so once you have that, you're actually going to draw 2 arrows. Okay. So I'm going to try to do this. So you're going to have an arrow going this way and an arrow going this way. Okay. All right. Arrow going each way. Okay. You can also just have one arrow if you want. That's fine too, with 2 ends. So at the pointy end of one of the arrows, you're going to write down your goal. Okay. So if your goal is, if anybody has a goal they want to drop for me, and we can break it down for you, but let me see, where's my chat? Oh, I can't even see my chat right now. Okay. So if you have a goal, let's see, one of the goals might be something like, we'll just do lose 20 pounds because that's an easy one. Okay. So lose 20 pounds or kilograms or whatever you're looking for. Okay. You put that at the one end. That's your goal. Okay. And so then on the same place on the other arrow, okay, you want to write the opposite of that goal. So, the opposite of that goal might be, if you want to lose 20 pounds, the opposite might be, it could be stay stuck. It could be gain weight. It could be, we'll just say stay stuck or gain weight. Okay. And this might be, again, there's nothing wrong with any size of body you possibly are. But if you are trying to do this maybe for health reasons or just improving yourself reasons, then, this is what we want to take a look at. Okay. So that's going to be on one side and then the other side. Okay. So the opposite goal. Now what we want to look at is, we want on the side of the arrow, on the one side of the arrow where you see the goal, okay, the lose 20 pounds goal, I want you to think through the actions that you need to take to be able, you think you need to take to be able to attain that goal. Okay. So like with the lose 20 pounds, it would be maybe like work out once a day. It might be choose whole foods or foods. Maybe, you have a food allergy. So you might say, stop eating gluten or stop eating dairy or any of those kinds of things. Okay. Can you switch back to the other screen to share your notebook? Oh yeah. Can you not see? You can't see my notebook. Okay. Yeah. Hang on one second. Stop share. I didn't realize you guys couldn't see me when I do that. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Here you go. So on the one side, it's like lose 20 pounds. And so you have all the way through here. So work out once, choose whole foods, etc. Okay. So these are going to be your actions leading towards that particular goal. And then in a second, we'll talk about the things going away from the goal. So if we think about some mini actions that we could take also, it might be something just as simple as, walk 10,000 steps. I know people put like step goals, right? And really this is losing 20 pounds maybe is also about just feeling better in your skin, right? And so losing 20 pounds might be that. Walk 10,000 steps. Do meditations daily so that you bring your stress level down. So your cortisol level is down, right? So maybe meditate daily. Okay. So it could be looking like that. Okay. With these little goals all the way along. Now, on the other side, what you want to look at is what would be the things that would take you away from your goal, right? What things would be on the opposite side? Okay. So you might want to put something like, maybe you're not taking good care of yourself. Okay. So maybe, like keep doing what I'm doing is an action that would take you the wrong way. And I know I've been there where I'm like, so keep doing. So we're going to go this way towards this goal. We don't want to, this is the anti-goal, basically. Okay. Another one might be, binge Netflix. And believe me, there are times, but say binge Netflix so that you're just like sitting, a snack, after 7 p.m., might be something, or eat candy, right? Might be things. Now I'm just pulling these. These are just like, they're going to be different for you. So whatever your goal is. So that would be, we're going like this way towards this goal, this way towards this goal. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to do another one that's not the weight one as well. Let's say you want to complete a novel. Okay. So that's a big goal. Okay. Having written a book, the writing the book is not so hard. It's editing the book. So complete a novel, or the opposite of completing a novel would be, not completing the novel, but not complete. And that would probably make you feel horrible, right? Never getting it done. Okay. So complete the novel on one side, never getting it done on the other side. So on the top, what could you do to make sure that you were able to start completing that novel? What would those actions look like for you? So it would be maybe write 1 hour a day. I forget who it was that I was reading. They write 1 hour a day and you'd be surprised how quickly you get something done, right? Research agents, maybe if you're trying to get, traditionally published. Could be do 1 hour or 30 minutes of editing a day, right? Do 10 minutes of, if you're doing like a novel, maybe character outline. Maybe it would be something like taking yourself out to your favorite coffee house where you feel really good, creative. So go to the coffee house 3 times a week and write. Okay. So all of those would be actions of actually sitting down and just getting it done, right? Or, a lot of times we get stuck in like perfectionism when we're getting these things done. Now, what would be the ones opposite of your goal? So you would never get that novel done, okay? So the opposite of the goal would be something like, could be something like binge Netflix as an avoidance technique to not write, right? It could be something like, ignoring, not sitting down when you're inspired, not writing when inspired, something like not putting time to it, right? Getting distracted, allowing yourself to get distracted. So that might be something where you could identify what kinds of things are distracting you on your goal, right? And then, if you keep letting yourself get distracted, so it's like, if you don't make writing a priority, okay, not making it a priority. Okay. So those would all be like if you want to basically one way or another, you can achieve the goal. Okay. You can either achieve the goal of completing the novel, or you can take these actions and achieve the goal of not completing the novel. But you really are completing a goal one way or another. And I think a lot of times we don't think about it that way. We think about that we're either achieving this goal or we're not, but actually when we take all these actions, we actually are actively completing the goal. It's just not the goal you want. Okay. So now what you want to do is I want you to look at these list of actions that are leading to your goal. Okay. Leading up to the goal that you want, the ultimate, whether it's, to lose 20 pounds, complete a novel, have financial, whatever. And then what on those, above those actions, I want you to, for a second, tune in to how will you feel by taking those actions and achieving that goal. So if you can, for a moment, imagine yourself actually having, you can even close your eyes and imagine yourself actually having achieved that particular goal in your life. How are you going to feel? Okay. So maybe if it's completing a novel, you see this beautiful novel, it's in your hands, maybe it's in the bookstores. Well, I guess you just see the whole thing. Completing and publishing a novel, let's say, you want to see it in reality. Okay. See it. How do you feel? Pay attention to that sense of accomplishment, that sense of joy, that sense of I did this, right? Kind of feeling. Same thing would be true of the losing 20 pounds, for instance, right? Of like, how are you going to feel when you achieve that goal of losing 20 pounds or getting healthier? How will you feel when you know that you're healthier? Here in Colorado, a lot of times people will have a goal of like summiting a particular mountain and making it easy and breathing better, right? Summiting the mountain. How would you feel if you just felt healthy enough to be able to summit a mountain, for instance? Okay. So how do you feel? Now what you want to do is I want you to write down what are those emotions you're going to have when you complete this goal. So, joy, accomplishment, I did it, that kind of a thing, right? So whatever those emotions might be, write them down. You're going to just have them here. It's just a list, really. It doesn't really matter where you put them, but so this is completing a goal, and then that's the emotions you're going to have, right? Now, for a second, I do want you to look at the other side of the the So I want you to look at the listing the actions that are taking you away from your goal, okay? So now, how would you feel if you made this negative goal a reality by taking these actions? How are you? They're going to feel convenient in the moment, right? All these kind of things, binging Netflix instead of sitting down to write feels super convenient and good in the moment. But every time you do it, it's taking you down this path, right? So how are you going to feel if this is the reality you get? Are you going to feel maybe, so you can actually think about it, like think about yourself 6 months from now, and you've still not achieved this goal because you've picked all these actions, you've taken these actions away from the goal you really want. So now you're at this other place. And how does that feel, right? And so it's probably going to be disappointed, frustrated, maybe, angry at yourself, etc., right? Okay. So those are the emotions where if you are going away, okay? So when you look at this, obviously, which set of emotions feels better to you? Which one is going to tune you into the life of your dreams? Which one is going to make you feel like you're heading that perfect direction? You're going to feel that sense of accomplishment. And it becomes very, very obvious which one is better. Okay. So this is a good thing to honestly like cut out and put up somewhere where you can see it, to remind yourself of how to take what goals you actually want to take. And then what I want you to do is sorry guys, still getting over this, a little cold. As you consider these things, so you want to take a look at these positive goals, okay? And what you want to do is you're going to write down the words associated with these feelings of achieving your goal. Have it on a Post-it note, have it on an index card, have it on your phone in a thing that maybe pops up multiple times a day to remind you of what you're going for, what emotions you're going for in taking the actions. I have it on my own phone where it pops up once an hour of like, I want to be feeling this way. Okay. So you might take your list and write down something like, I feel proud, happy, confident, optimistic, and successful, right? So you want to have these constantly in front of you and available to you. Again, I love having like where it pops up once an hour. And it'll be like, mine is more in the phrasing of a question. Are you doing things that help you feel proud, happy, confident, optimistic, and successful. And so when you start to consider that as a question, then you're like, oh, you know what? I was kind of like slacking off, or I was doing this. Are you taking care of yourself is one of the ones I have on mine, because I tend to like maybe overwork sometimes. Okay. And so this is the key. When you start to feel like you are actually procrastinating on something, or you're falling into that list of actions that you don't want to be taking, that are going to take you away from your goal, what you want to do is think about which choice is actually going to be the frequency that's going to take you towards your dreams. Okay. It makes it so much easier to make the good choice when, you're sitting there and you're looking at, let's say, and there's nothing wrong with having some chocolate cake sometimes, but you're trying to lose 20 pounds and you've said, I know I can't have gluten and this has gluten in it, for instance. It's really easy to be looking at it and being like, well, I'll have a few bites. But if you start to think about, like, how does the frequency of that actually feel? It seems like a little decision in the moment, but that little decision has a frequency attached to it. So it's like, do I want to make this decision right now and say, you know what, I'm not going to have that right now, but I know that making that decision is actually leading me towards feeling those positive feelings and actually achieving that goal. Okay. So that's what I want you to do with this action. You can find more if you want to read through it. And there's some great things that, suggestions in this particular section of the book, 361-ish, like 360, 361. If you are still having difficulty taking those positive actions for yourself, it's a really good idea to close your eyes and imagine you achieving that goal. Whatever the goal is, take yourself back to those emotions, take yourself into that moment, see yourself holding that book or doing that thing, and actually allow all those I feel it, those feelings to go all over your body. And now it's going to seem a lot less attractive to sit down and binge Netflix instead of write, or, go snack on a bunch of M&Ms and sit on the couch versus maybe stretching or meditating. Okay. So that's how you do it. It's an easier, hopefully you can see this is a much more organic way to align yourself with achieving goals than, this sort of crunch, push, hustle kind of thing that we have. Okay. So one of the things I guess I want to talk about here. All right, we're going to talk about getting rid of people in your throat. There's a few other things in Station 5 that I would love for you guys to make sure that, especially if you're a Station 5 person where that's showing up in your flow factor, definitely make sure that you are reading through really all of it and doing all the work in this one. But I'm going to go back to sharing the screen, and I apologize. I didn't realize you guys could not see me when I share the screen. I thought you could, so I apologize for that. All right, let's go over here. We're going to talk about what I alluded to yesterday when Donna was asking something about getting rid of people in your throat. So for some of us, one of the biggest issues I see certainly in Station 5 is this idea of kind of getting stuck because there are certain people in your life that you try to speak up to, and for just a host of different reasons, they are literally stuck in your throat. And they are keeping you from being able to express what you need to express, or from being able to do what you really need to do in a situation, being authentic, being truthful, all of those things. I see this pattern on a fairly regular basis within my clients. So this is definitely one I wanted to make sure to give you and to give you this practice. Okay. So here's one of the things that you might see. Now, again, this Station 5, if you have some issues in Station 5, it affects kind of all the other stations, because if you can't express things, it kind of, it might be you have Station 2 showing up, so you have a hard time expressing things in one-on-one relationships, right? It could be you have Station 1 as well, and that means you're not expressing things and you feel really overpowered in groups in your life, and that's where you're shutting down. So that's where we want to see, like, what does that look like in an overall view? And so that can kind of tell you where is the root of that particular thing. Where is it that people are getting stuck in your throat? I had a woman that I worked with, a few years ago, one of my first clients actually, and she came in and she had really intense gastric reflux. It was so intense. She'd been to doctors for like 12 years. I think they were about to do surgery on her esophagus because the acid was eating away at it. And she could not figure out what the heck was going on. And she ended up, very quickly, it became apparent to me that her mom was literally stuck in her throat. Her mom had told her over and over again, you talk too much. And so as you can imagine, that's like putting a boot on somebody's vocal cords. And so what she was doing is literally, it was like from station 3, feeling like she wasn't worthy of expressing herself, right? Who she truly was and what her true opinions and thoughts were. It was bubbling up and she was literally eating away at herself, literally eating away. The cool thing was, once we found that out, as I said, she'd been to 12 years of doctors. The second we found that out, within 7 days, she wrote me and was like, the gastric reflux is completely gone. So that's why this one is kind of important to notice, because it definitely has that link to other areas. Okay. So if you have a hard time, like always saying no in a certain situation, or if you have a hard time expressing yourself in relationships, I used to do this a lot where I still absolutely hate hurting someone, but it's, you shouldn't hurt yourself to not hurt another person in terms of staying in a relationship that's hurting you when you don't want to be there, right? So I used to have a really hard time like getting it out of my throat of like, hey, I think our journey here may have ended. Okay. So that was something that I personally struggled with a lot. Okay. So if you find yourself in these situations, and what I see a lot of times is because we can't like get it out of our throat, we're literally stuck. We walk away feeling bad about ourselves. Like, what the bleep is wrong with me? Why can't I just say this? And it's understandable to feel that way, certainly, because it is very, very frustrating. But the problem is that this is really a trigger. Okay. This is where I talk about triggers, because when we have something that we've had programmed in for a really long period of time, it can become a situation where we recognize that outside frequency, and it's just our whole body gets tuned into a certain situation. I was just working with a absolutely beautiful client yesterday who I absolutely adore. And she had had a very long, very difficult marriage where she was shut down again and again and again. She was taught that there was something incredibly offensive about her or her expression. And now she just wanted to talk to her daughter about something that absolutely is like the most normal, perfectly okay to ask situation. But she was like in that hypervigilant mode of like, finding the exact right time to talk to her, that she wasn't too busy and she wasn't in the middle of it. And it was like this whole thing because she'd been taught that she didn't have the right to say it. So even when we like practice saying it, you could tell it was like, it was stuck because of this outside thing. So the trigger becomes, if I open my mouth, somebody might say that I'm saying something wrong or judging me or hate me or think I'm a horrible person, because that's unfortunately in this marriage that she had, she was taught that for 30 years. So it's a long time. So that's where we can have those triggers. And that's where I can see people that have triggers in, group situations where somebody asks them to speak up and they literally like can't. Sometimes I'll have people that they were called on in class when they were kids and they couldn't, they like froze up and they were like, everybody started laughing at them or whatever. And that's like a core belief that now became a trigger. So now when they get called on in another situation that they're very confident in, like a corporate situation, they have that same like reaction of like not being able to speak. Okay. So these are, you didn't learn this just overnight. And here I have a whole story about getting people out of my throat. It turned into TMJ for me, where it was like, I was like holding it in so much that I was actually having shooting pains going up the side, because I was terrified of, if I said something and somebody took it wrong, that it was going to like blow sky high, just because of a bunch of things in my life. Okay. So number 1, here's the exercise I basically want you to do. Where's my exercise? Well, I'm going to just stop sharing. We're going to do the exercise. Here's the exercise I want you to do on this one. So if you have people in your life or patterns around not being able to speak up in situations, here's what I want you to do. Number 1, I want you to imagine a situation or circumstance that you need to speak up about. Say something about a confrontation you need to have, a discussion you need to have, something that maybe is going to be challenging or difficult for you, but you know that this is something you need to be able to do. Or if you know there's a pattern of circumstances, I want you to think about one of those circumstances quickly, okay? Then what I want you to do is I want you to sit down and actually write out, what do you actually want to say? Okay. What this is doing is getting it out of this sort of hypervigilant thing that goes on inside your mind when you have these station 5 issues, and you're getting it out on paper. You're writing it down. Okay. So you want to write out, like yesterday, I took my client through this particular thing. Write out, hey, so-and-so, I, wanted to talk to you about this, or, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but I've been feeling this, and here's what I wanted to talk to you about, or however that goes. Okay, write it out first. It's just going to help you to get it out of your system and get it outside. You can read it and see it physically outside yourself. Sometimes reading it can help you see how reasonable it is that what you're saying, what you're wanting to say, right? So you're going to put that down. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to read that aloud over and over and over again, literally reading it aloud. Sometimes it helps to actually read it aloud looking in the mirror, which sounds totally crazy. You're going to feel incredibly silly. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to feel like, what in God's name is she having me do now? However, I can promise you, looking yourself in the eyes and speaking this out over and over again until it becomes something you're comfortable with saying. What you want to do when you do that, though, is pay attention to the emotions in your body. Where are they coming from? What do they feel like? How is that impacting you, right? So really tune into those emotions of how you're feeling. If you start to feel stressed, you take a nice deep breath, okay? You can just say to yourself, I'm safe. There's nothing to be worried about. So those old emotions are going to come from the memory hologram, the trigger, right? You are talking and just even thinking about the frequency of talking to or confronting or saying whatever it is you need to say is going to cause a trigger where your whole body is going to be like, we're not safe. This is a bad idea. I'm going to be stuck, blah, 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 whatever that is. Okay. So just know that that's what it is. We don't have to even like judge it or freak out about it. We can just say, hey, this is an old trigger. I was literally just saying that to my client yesterday. Like, there's no judgment. It's like, okay, I'm feeling this way. It's an old trigger. It's okay. I'm safe now. I can say this and say it again and say it again. You can even record yourself on your phone and see, you want to listen to see, do you sound confident? There's a point at which you will feel like it drops in and you sound confident. Okay. At that point, once you do that, here's a practice that I absolutely love doing because it is truly like life-changing. I have seen it change relationships that were very estranged. I've seen it just make all kinds of conversations go so much easier. So this practice is, you're literally going to pre-connect. It's like the art of connecting. We've talked about multiple times. You are simply going to pre-connect with that individual that you want to talk to or group of people you want to talk to or whatever it is that you have coming up, okay? I want you to actually close your eyes and imagine in as much detail as you can, feeling very, very safe and being in that situation. But make yourself in a really safe space, feeling like you're completely at peace and comfortable. This is a space where you are in charge, okay? Nothing negative can come towards you. You close your eyes, and then when you feel really safe and really whole, I want you to see yourself calling in the person that you need to speak to, okay? Whether it's a person, whether it's a group of people, you can see that group of people come together, whether it's a situation where you are going to need to speak in front of a group, see yourself in that group, see yourself in that room, call that in. And then I want you to, in this connected state to this individual or group, I want you to actually say what you need to say to this group. Say it out loud, or to this person, right? Actually say it in your mind. And then what I want you to do is like literally seeing as almost as if there's like light or something connecting the two of you. Then you can pause and say, what do you want to say back to me? And see that person responding back. Listen to what they have to say. You'd be amazed at what your intuition will tell you in this practice. And what this is doing, you guys, is because we really are all energetically connected. When you kind of call in somebody's energy, spirit, or even a group of people's energy or spirit, not only are you using the art of connecting to pre-create what you want to have happen and how you want it to go, but you're actually connecting with that person's energy, and they don't even consciously know it, but you're unconsciously connecting with them and saying, hey, I'm making this connection because here's something I need to talk about. I have literally done this practice with so many people over the years in so many different situations. I have seen people, I'm not kidding, like estranged people, suddenly they get a phone call from somebody they really love where they were estranged, and they had this whole discussion in their mind where they were connecting with this person and kind of working out what the estrangement was, what happened, what the issues were. I have seen it happen so many times. I have seen it, people play out what they're going to do or say, and then they go in and it works out exactly like that. And I really think it's just sort of at an energetic frequency level, what we're doing is we are consciously saying, I'm using my power to connect with you, and here's the conversation as I need it to go. Here's the connection as I need it to go, okay? That is such a powerful practice. If you have issues at all around this, I can't tell you how important this is to try to do. Let me see here. Donna, can people still be stuck in your throat if they have passed away? Oh yeah, sorry. Can people still be stuck in your throat if they have passed away? Yes, yes. So they aren't so much stuck in your throat as the holographic belief they gave you is stuck in your throat. So what I mean by that is, if you have, let's say, a mom who was highly, highly critical of you, just to pull one out of the air, and she was always putting you down for like the things you said, you could never try, she never apologized about anything, she was always right, that kind of a person, right? Let's just say, I'm just sort of building this person up, but let's say that's the person you're dealing with, right? And your mom was like that. And so because of that, every time you would try to speak up for yourself in situations with your mom, you got shut down when she was alive. Okay. It was this like, what's going to happen? Or I've had people like, if they had a mom who would just rage about things, if they tried to talk to them about even anything reasonably normal, they would just go into this rage thing. So of course that fear gets stuck in your throat as this old belief. I'm not allowed to do this. This isn't right. If I do this, this is what's going to happen to me. Right. And then when they die, they're gone, but they left behind a legacy of stuff in your throat, right? They left behind that legacy. So one thing you can do that would be very powerful if you have something like this, like Donna is talking about, and it is somebody who has passed on, you can actually do that exact practice that I just told you about. You can do that exact practice and call in their spirit and say whatever you needed to say. Okay. You can literally say, hey, mom, it wasn't okay the way that you treated me. And now because of that, I have this issue, and I just want to inform you, I'm not doing that anymore. Whatever it is, like you can say whatever you need to say. Another way of doing that is, of course, writing a letter out, write a letter out. In your case though, or like anybody's case that has it as station 5, I would say once you write the letter out, actually speak it out. You need to actually activate the vocal cords so that the frequency of that goes into your vocal cords. Because one of the things that's actually super cool about station 5 is that our vocal cords are like, they are as unique to us as individuals as our fingerprints. They can actually use, because each of us has a certain frequency of how we speak. So even if we sound like, my sister and I sound a lot alike, but even so, we have different frequencies to how we speak. So it's such an individual thing that, just like fingerprints, if you were to go in a court of law and somebody had a recording of you, they can identify you by the waveform of your voice. Like 100, they'll use it as 100%. So when we think about that, you think about the fact that one of your most literal ways of creating frequency in the world is your vocal cords, because they are so unique to you. Okay. They have your own unique stamp, your own unique frequency, right? So when we think about that, then when we get stuck with these things, when somebody has shut this area down or imprinted upon this area, then we really have to, in order to shift this particular frequency, it's really important to use the vocal cords in the practices that you do. Okay. So let me know if hopefully that will help as you're kind of going through that. There's more in station 5 within the book. We'll probably do some additional deep dives here and there, because I've only been able to kind of hit some of the big topics, or the ones that I see that are the biggest patterns. Tomorrow we will move on to station 6, which is like our intuition, problem solving. It can be a big one, especially if you get headaches and migraines. That's a station 6er that we want to take a look at. So until then, let me know if you guys, and Donna, hopefully that helped. Did that make sense? And Joan, I'm so glad you liked the exercise. Yeah, that one is really, the action one is one of those easy ones to think to yourself, you know what? I want to take this action towards this thing. And it makes it so much easier when we realize that we want to go towards those emotions, right? All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so sorry. I know I'm still a little under the weather today. So hopefully I conveyed everything okay for you guys today. I should be hopefully up and running and great tomorrow for station 6. So let me know if you do these practices. Oh, great. Thanks, Joan. Let me know if you do these practices. I hope this is a huge help to you, because this area in particular, as I say, because it is our most literal way of creating frequency in the world, this one is so important. So let me know if these practices help you. Let me know if you need any help with that. Please post in the group, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here.